One question viewers might have asked is that if there was a massive war raging across all of time and space, how come that we on Earth have not seen the effects of it? The writers acknowledge this with the line,
"The darkness. The big bad wolf."
Now this is one of the more obvious bad wolf references, but there's another hidden future prediction in this sentence. Hello and welcome back to Where's the Bandwagon? My name is Will and this is part 5 of our breakdown of the Unquiet Dead. If you haven't seen the other parts, then you can use the link on the top right hand side of the screen. And don't forget you can win these Doctor Who trading cards simply by subscribing. Stick around to the end of the video to see if you've won. Let's get to it. Gwyneth says the line,
"The things you've seen. The darkness. The big bad wolf."
Now this is one of the more obvious bad wolf references, but there's another hidden future prediction in this sentence. You see, the darkness she's referring to is the effect of the reality bomb that Rose will experience in her alternative universe.
It's the darkness.
The reality bomb destroyed the universe, taking out the stars, and Rose describes it as the darkness.
The big bad wolf.
Gwyneth goes into a trance to read Rose. She sees into the 21st century where Rose is from.
And the birds in the sky, no, they're magical as well.
This scene reminds me of a cyberpunk Easter egg in the game The Witcher 3.
The world where Eridan couldn't find you. What was it like?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Try me.
People there had metal in their heads, waged war from a distance, using things similar to megascopes. And there were no horses. Everyone had their own flying ship instead.
Siri, stop fooling around.
Told you wouldn't believe me.
The Doctor would use the fact that Gwyneth had seen Rose's future in order to convince her to shut the rift later in the episode.
Remember that world you saw? Rose's world, all those people. None of it will exist unless you send them back through the rift.
Gwyneth says Rose is far from home.
And you've flown so far, further than anyone.
This reminds me of what the Beast says when he reads her.
And the lost girl, so far away from home.
Gwyneth also comments about the fact that the people of Rose's world are half naked.
Half naked, for shame.
This message of the change of what is acceptable in fashion is repeated in the episode Tooth and Claw.
You will explain your presence and the nakedness of this girl.
The Doctor talks, revealing he's been listening to their conversation. You can actually see the Doctor's jacket in the corner of the screen before he introduces himself, so the keen-eyed amongst you would have already spotted him. The Doctor gives an explanation for Gwyneth's powers, that she has grown up on top of the rift and therefore is part of it.
You grew up on top of the rift. You're part of it. You're the key.
The Doctor says that they're going to perform a seance. Obviously they're not actually going to try and contact the dead here, but he uses this sort of terminology to get into the character of the era. You see, around this time there was a boom in interest of spiritualistic mediums and ghost stories, and so the Doctor in this era just gets into character. This is similar to how the 10th Doctor assumes the role of a detective when there is a murder with Agatha Christie. Gwyneth mentions that she has seen spiritualists, including a Madame Mortlock.
This is how Madame Mortlock summons those from the land of mists, down in Boottown.
Now, Madame Mortlock was originally going to be an on-screen character. The original concept for this episode was to include fake mediums, one of which was to be this Madame Mortlock. However, she was eventually removed along with Mr. Sneed's wife, as the production really liked the character of Gwyneth and wanted to push her to have a more major role in the story. During the seance, Charles refuses to join in. The Doctor says,
Humbug.
It doesn't need to be said, but this is obviously a reference to A Christmas Carol and the fact that Charles's character arc throughout this episode mirrors Scrooge's arc throughout A Christmas Carol.
Nothing but luminous tambourines and a squeeze box concealed between the knees.
The Gelth appear and Dickens is shocked. When the Gelth talk, they talk through Gwyneth's mouth. This speech at the same time reminds me of Midnight.
Molto bene. No, don't do that.
There are a number of things the Gelth say which resonate with the Doctor and result in him passionately backing them. Firstly, they say they are in this position because of the Time War.
But then the war came.
War? What war?
The Time War.
This is obviously very personal to the Doctor, and the look he gives Rose shows that he feels some guilt and responsibility for the Gelth being in this position. Rose understands that the Doctor is feeling guilty because of the Time War and calls him out on it later in the episode.
And she's not fighting your battles.
Indicating that the Doctor is still treating this like a battle in the Time War. The Gelth also say they are very few in number. The Doctor is the last of his kind and therefore knows what it's like.
I can't worry about a few corpses when the last of the Gelth could be dying.
The Doctor also thinks that he has just committed genocide by killing his and the Dalek race, so will do anything to prevent another extinction as a result of the Time War. We constantly see how being the last of his kind affects him throughout the show.
You're really not, because I'm the last of my species and I know how it sits in a heart. So don't insult me.
The Gelth take the form of children. This gives them an innocence and vulnerability which they use to con the Doctor into helping them. The children that he killed on Gallifrey is one of the more important things that haunts him after the Time War.
How many children there were on Gallifrey that day?
The Gelth say that all they want is physical bodies so that they can feel the sunlight again.
To feel the sunlight, to live again.
This is similar to the request made by the Dalek.
It's the sunlight, that's all it wants.
One question viewers might have asked is that if there was a massive war raging across all of time and space, how come that we on Earth have not seen the effects of it? The writers acknowledge this with the line,
Raged, invisible to smaller species, but devastating to higher forms.
At the end of the seance, Gwyneth collapses and Rose goes straight to her. This shows that Rose is constantly thinking about Gwyneth's well-being, while the Doctor sits back and thinks about the situation with the Gelth. This difference in priorities is expanded upon in the next scene as the Doctor and Rose argue about whether to help the Gelth.
Rose finds the Doctor's approach to his work or his mission quite inhumane, and at times he can be very cold and alien. When the Doctor suggests putting Gwyneth forward, and there is a chance, a risk that she may die, Rose isn't really at all pleased with that.
The Doctor initially seems to be not interested in Gwyneth's well-being, as he needs to concentrate on saving the few Gelth left. This logical reasoning is similar to how Capaldi treats the victims of The Soldier in Mummy and the Orient Express.
Even the smallest detail might help us save the next one. The next one? You mean you can't save me? Well, that is implied, isn't it? Yes, this is probably the end for you. But make it count! Details, please! Yes, of course.
Okay, so you can save her. Right?
Of course not. Why would you think that? This is another chance to observe it in action.
As it kills her.
Of course, as it kills her. If it happens in there, it'll be a waste. So bring her.
We would see later that the Doctor isn't completely cold, as he tells Gwyneth,
You don't have to do anything.
The Doctor and Rose argue over the moral effects of letting the Gelth use bodies of the deceased. There may have been some viewers who are horrified in the Doctor's viewpoint, and therefore Gatiss writes clever lines for the Doctor to say to show his logical reasoning.
Do you carry a donor card?
Rose says,
Seriously though, you can't.
Seriously though, I can.
This reminds me of the scene when the Doctor and Donna are debating a different moral situation.
Hardest Time Lord, yeah.
Donna Human, no. I don't need your permission. I'll tell her myself.
When Rose still doesn't see the Doctor's moral stance, he snaps, threatening to take Rose home. This just emphasises how important this is to the Doctor. Meanwhile, Charles has gotten drunk and, in a couple of sentences, explains the entire plot of the episode.
Incredible. Ghosts that are not ghosts, but beings from another world who can only exist in our realm by inhabiting cadavers.
Good system. It might work.
Let me get this straight. A thing that looks like a police box standing in a junkyard, it can move anywhere in time and space?
Yes.
Quite so.
The Doctor shows his humanity, explaining that she doesn't have to do anything if she doesn't want to, but Gwyneth is desperate to help. This is because she believes they are angels, again connecting back to her earlier conversation with Rose. She also believes that they were sent by her mum.
They've been singing to me since I was a child. Sent by my mum on a holy mission.
As the Gelth are masters in tricking people, it may have been that they have been whispering to Gwyneth, convincing her that they are angels to take advantage of her beliefs. The look on Gwyneth's face when she realises they aren't angels is devastating. She is broken. The Doctor asks where the weakest point of the house is, and Sneed replies,
That would be the morgue.
Setting the final act of the episode in the morgue is obviously to make the episode more spooky. However, Gatiss recognises this with this line.
No chance you're going to say gazebo, is there?
When they get down to the morgue, Rose brings up a great point about the fact that she knows that this can't happen because zombies weren't walking around in her future.
Thing is, Doctor, the Gelth don't succeed. Because I know they don't. I know for a fact that corpses weren't walking around in 1869.
Time's in flux, changing every second. Your cosy little world can be rewritten like that. Nothing is safe. Remember that. Nothing.
This not only sets an important role in their time travel, but also provides more jeopardy. Him saying nothing is safe mirrors my point in my last breakdown when I broke down the end of the world. You see, after we see the world is safe and sound in the year 5 billion, us as the audience may have thought, oh, I know the Slitheen don't succeed and break the world apart in 2006 because I saw it intact in the far future. So this point that the Doctor says provides us with reasoning to why we should still feel in danger with these threats. The time travel rule that things in the future can change is repeated in Shakespeare Code.
The world didn't end in 1599. It just didn't. Look at me. I'm living proof.
Oh, how to explain the mechanics of the infinite temporal flux? I know. Back to the Future. It's like Back to the Future.
The film.
No, the novelisation. Yes, the film. Martin McFly goes back and changes history.
And he starts fading away. Oh my God, am I going to fade?
You and the entire future of the human race. It ends right now in 1599 if we don't stop it.
Russell T Davies had a vision to expand this point further. In the original ideas for the episode, the Doctor was going to convince Rose that time could change by taking Rose back to 2005 midway through the episode, where modern day was going to be destroyed. This is inspired by the fourth Doctor story, The Pyramids of Mars.
I mean, we know the world didn't end in 1911.
Where the Doctor takes Sarah Jane back to 1980 to show her a devastated world. That is what will happen if they don't stop the villain of the episode. This in turn is a reference to the H.G. Wells book, The Time Machine.
This is like something by that novelist chap, Mr. Wells.
However, even if time can be rewritten, at this point the audience might be feeling like this can't possibly happen. The idea that the production team would make such a massive change to the history of Earth by having it full of zombies seems implausible. This is fixed when the Doctor explains that he will take the Gelth somewhere else and that this is not a permanent solution.
I'll take you somewhere else after the transfer. Somewhere you can build proper bodies. This isn't a permanent solution, all right?
Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget you can win these Doctor Who cards simply by subscribing. Winners are chosen every part 1 video, and you can also win by writing a comment which I use in a video. Here's a reminder of the current cards up for grabs. I'll be selecting better and better cards the more subscribers I get, so share my video on Reddit and social media and with your fellow Whovians so that we can grow our channel and you can win better cards. The final part will be out in 48 hours. See you then.
And your cozy little world can be rewritten like that.
Don't.